The train screeched to a halt just as Layla Quinn opened her eyes. The jolt reminded her that she hadn't slept well again. She blinked at the passengers around her, watching them gather their briefcases and handbags, full of purpose and plans. Meanwhile, Layla clutched her worn leather folder containing nothing but her resume, a trembling hand, and the hope that today might finally lead her somewhere. The building stood like a monolith, silver glass stretched toward the Cloud Sutton Financial Group, a firm so prestigious, she never thought she'd step inside. But the HR coordinator had called. "We liked your profile," they'd said. "The CEO is meeting candidates personally." Layla had no idea why. She wasn't elite. She wasn't polished. But she was determined. Inside, the lobby was cathedral-like. Vaulted ceilings, modern sculptures, and silent employees moved like well-oiled machines. Layla walked up to the front desk, heart pounding like a fist in her chest. "Layla Quinn," she said, adjusting the collar of her coat. "I'm here for an interview with Mr. Sutton." The receptionist barely glanced up. "Have a seat, ma'am. He'll be with you shortly." Layla nodded and stepped back to one of the sleek black benches near the fountain. She placed her folder on her lap and tried to calm her nerves. But then, a quiet voice beside her. So soft. So delicate. "Mom," her breath caught. A whisper, so familiar it carved straight through her ribcage. Slowly, almost against her own will, she turned. A little boy stood there. Maybe 7, maybe 8. Blonde curls. Big hazel eyes, the exact same eyes as Jacob, her late husband. Her lungs locked. Her vision blurred. "Mom?" the boy asked again, his tiny voice coated in confusion. He stepped closer, clutching a small plastic toy, a half-melted fire truck. Layla's world tilted. She had buried that toy in a tiny white coffin 8 years ago. Her hand went to her mouth. "Sweetheart," she whispered. "What did you say?" But before the boy could answer, a sharp voice cut through the air. "Lucas." A tall woman in stilettos and a navy blue skirt suit rushed forward, yanking the child by the arm. "I told you not to talk to strangers," she scolded him. Then, giving Layla a brittle, dismissive smile, she added, "Sorry. He gets confused sometimes. Enjoy your interview." And just like that, she was gone, child in hand, disappearing into the executive elevator. Layla remained frozen, not breathing, not blinking. She stared at the fountain as if waiting for reality to restart. The boy called her mom. The boy held a toy that had burned with her house. And the boy had Jacob's eyes. Layla sat in the interview room, her body present but her mind trapped in 2016, the year her world burned. They said it was an electrical fault. Her old farmhouse went up in flames before the fire department even arrived. Layla had been out for groceries. Her newborn son Noah was inside, sleeping. Or so they told her. They never let her see the body. The hospital sedated her for days. By the time she was awake, the funeral had been arranged. Her abusive in-laws handled it all. She wasn't allowed to attend. And now, 8 years later, a boy who looked like Noah just called her Mom. The door clicked open, and a deep, controlled voice said, "Ms. Quinn, I'm Brandon Sutton. Thank you for coming in." Layla stood slowly. The man before her was broad-shouldered, mid-40s, crisp navy suit, and dark, intelligent eyes. But she could barely process his presence. All she could think about was the boy Lucas. Thank you for seeing me," she murmured. Brandon extended a hand, then gestured for her to sit. "Your resume is untraditional, but interesting. I'd like to know more about your story." "My story?" Layla blinked. "What do you mean?" "Your gap years. Your recovery work. The nonprofit counseling you did. It shows a kind of emotional intelligence that most finance applicants don't bring." Layla's voice cracked. "I wasn't sure anyone would find that useful." "Well, I do," Brandon said simply. "What drove you into that line of work?" She hesitated. "Loss," she said carefully. "I lost someone very important to me, and I guess I wanted to help others rebuild." Brandon nodded slowly, eyes narrowing as if something clicked. "You remind me of someone," he said. Layla's heart skipped. Your wife, she guessed, fishing. No, Brandon said. My son's biological mother. I never met her, but the agency gave me notes. Her name was Leah, I think. Or maybe Lacey. Layla's blood ran cold.
Leah.
Lacey. Layla. It was a mess. A tangle of deception wrapped in clean white lies. How old is your son? She asked, voice trembling. 7. Brandon replied. His name is Lucas. I adopted him when he was an infant. My wife, well, Ivy always wanted children and we had issues conceiving. So, we went through a private placement. Layla stared at him.
7.
Lucas.
The toy.
Her world was cracking. May I ask, she said softly, what agency? Horizon Angels. They're no longer operating, he added. Apparently, there were some legal complications, but at the time, they were praised for fast adoptions. Layla's stomach dropped. Horizon Angels had been shut down 3 years ago for baby laundering. She stood abruptly.
I'm sorry, she said.
I can't do this. Excuse me? Thank you for the opportunity, Layla whispered. But I have to go. Brandon looked confused, but respectful. If you ever want to come back, let me know.
She didn't respond.
She walked out of that office like a ghost. Because somewhere inside this glittering tower, her son was alive. And someone had stolen him from her. Outside, Layla collapsed onto a bench and clutched her head in her hands. Tears came like rain, quiet, steady, unstoppable. What did she do now? Call the police? Sue Sutton Financial? Storm back into that tower screaming, "You stole my child."
No.
She needed proof. Hard, undeniable, DNA-level proof. She wiped her eyes and stood. She knew what she had to do. That's how long it took Layla to crawl out from under the weight of shock and grief and start fighting. The moment she got home from Sutton Financial, she tore through her storage boxes, searching for the only photo she had left of Noah. A blurry image from the hospital nursery, his tiny hand clutched around her finger. She stared at it for hours. Lucas looked just like him. No doubt in her heart. But doubt wouldn't win in court. Doubt wouldn't bring him home. She needed evidence. And so, like a mother possessed, Layla launched her investigation. It started with a name, Horizon Angels. A deep dive into the agency's history revealed what she feared. Horizon had been investigated for illegal adoptions, forged documents, and trafficking infants from vulnerable mothers, especially those with addiction histories or mental health diagnoses. Layla had spent 6 months in a psychiatric facility after the fire, not because she was unstable, but because her in-laws had her committed. Conveniently, that made her unfit. She called hospitals. She pulled every public record she could find. But her son's death certificate, issued by Dr. Hallstrom, remained the only trace. Or so she thought, until she found a buried news article with one sentence that made her blood freeze. The Horizon Angels scandal links back to several private hospitals, including St. Daria's, where a reported infant death was later disproven. St. Daria's, the hospital where Noah was declared dead. Layla parked 2 blocks from the clinic. She wore a simple hoodie, sunglasses, and no makeup. She didn't need to be remembered. Inside the building, she signed in with a fake name, Michelle Grant. Nobody asked for ID. The receptionist led her to Dr. Hallstrom's office. The man hadn't aged much, same gold-rimmed glasses, same cold efficiency. He smiled at her like she was just another patient. How can I help you today? Layla kept her tone even. I'm here about a death certificate you signed.
For a child.
8 years ago. You'd need to speak to records.
No.
I'm speaking to you. The child's name was Noah Quinn. Dr. Hallstrom froze. Layla leaned forward, her eyes steel. You declared my baby dead. But I saw him last week. In the lobby of Sutton Financial Group. His name is Lucas now. He's alive. You lied. The blood drained from his face. Miss Quinn.
Don't call me that.
You're going to tell me what happened. Right now. He swallowed. You weren't supposed to wake up so soon. Your husband's father, he arranged everything. He said you'd had a breakdown, that you were a danger to the child. He told me You wanted the baby gone. Gone. Her voice rose. He told you to fake my baby's death? He offered a lot of money. I was in debt. I didn't think. You didn't think. You stole my son. Hellstrom stood and locked the door, pacing. Listen to me. There was a deal with Horizon. The child was placed immediately. You weren't even conscious when the papers were signed. There was no record, no trail. So, who signed the adoption forms? No one. That's how it worked. The child was listed as deceased, then given a new identity. To the Suttons? She asked. Eventually, yes. But not directly. He went to a holding facility first. They were laundering dozens of kids back then. Layla was shaking. I want the name of the woman who facilitated it. Her name was Margot Vane. She worked inside Horizon Angels as their cleaner. But no one knows where she is now. I'll find her. You won't, Hellstrom muttered. Everyone involved either ran or disappeared. You're too late. Layla stood, fire in her voice.
No.
I'm right on time. The next day, Layla walked back into Sutton Financial Group, but this time, not as a job applicant. She wore a red blouse, her hair pinned back professionally. Her plan was simple. Get inside. Find Ivy. Get close to the boy.
Get the DNA.
She marched confidently to the security desk. Layla Quinn. I'm here to see Mr. Sutton. Do you have an appointment? He told me to stop by today. The guard looked uncertain. Then he called upstairs. Moments later, Brandon's assistant appeared.
Oh, Miss Quinn, yes.
Mr. Sutton is in a meeting, but I can take you to the lounge. Bingo. She sat with her hands clasped tightly. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. And then, the sound of children's laughter from the hallway. She rose.
Turned.
There he was. Lucas. Walking beside Ivy Sutton, wearing a blue sweater and carrying a lunchbox. His curls bounced as he laughed. Layla watched in silent awe. Ivy noticed her. Their eyes met. Ivy stiffened. You again, she said coolly. What are you doing here? Interview follow-up. Layla lied, calm and smooth. Didn't expect to see your son again. He's not your concern. Layla knelt. Hey there, Lucas, she said softly. The boy looked at her, blinking. Do you remember me? He hesitated. You're the nice lady from the other day. Layla smiled. That's right. He tilted his head. You look like someone in my dreams. Ivy's expression snapped. That's enough, Lucas. Come on. But he stayed still. Are you my other mom? Ivy's entire face went white. Lucas.
Go.
Now. He looked scared. Did I do something bad? Layla shook her head, gently placing a hand on her knee.
No, sweetheart.
You did everything right. Ivy grabbed the boy and turned to the assistant. Escort this woman out immediately. She is not to be let back in this building. It took 2 days to arrange. Layla had swiped a used napkin from Lucas's lunchbox before Ivy dragged him away. She drove 2 hours outside the city to a private DNA lab and handed over the napkin and her own saliva sample. She didn't sleep that night.
She didn't eat.
She barely breathed. When the email finally arrived, she stared at the subject line. Parental confirmation, positive match, 99.99%. Tears burst from her eyes. Her hands trembled. He was hers. He had been alive all these years. He had grown up calling another woman mom. But biologically, undeniably, he was Layla's son. Now came the hardest part. Brandon Sutton sat in his office when the door burst open. Layla didn't knock. I know who he is, she said. Brandon rose, confused. I'm sorry, Lucas.
He's my son.
I have the DNA test. She slammed the folder on his desk. He opened it slowly. Read the page. Looked up, stunned. This can't be. Horizon Angels lied to you. They gave you a child who was never theirs to give. He sat down hard. Oh my God. Layla swallowed hard. Did you know? Be honest.
No. I swear.
I thought it was legal. We paid a ridiculous fee, but Ivy said it was to speed up the process. Your wife knew. Brandon rubbed his forehead. We've been having issues. She's not the woman I married. You need to tell him, Layla said. You need to tell him the truth. He doesn't even know he's adopted. Silence. Brandon's hands trembled. What happens now? Layla exhaled. Now we figure out how to make this right, without breaking him. Layla didn't file a lawsuit. Not yet. Instead, she followed Lucas. She started showing up to his soccer games, his piano recitals, his school events, always sitting far back, never making it about her. Until one day, at a fundraiser, Lucas saw her and ran to her. You're here again, he smiled. You always come. Of course, she said softly. I like watching you grow. Can we be friends? He asked. She smiled, her eyes glistening. We already are. Layla sat across from Brandon Sutton in his study, a crackling fire flickering behind him. She held a mug of untouched tea, her mind swimming in all the possible futures that lay ahead, none of them perfect. Brandon leaned forward. He doesn't know yet, he admitted. About you. About anything. Ivy refuses to tell him. She says it'll ruin him. Layla's mouth tightened. It's already ruined him. You just don't see it yet. I want to do the right thing, Layla, he said. But I don't know what that looks like anymore. She reached into her bag and pulled out a photo, the same one from the hospital. Noah's tiny hand wrapped around her finger. She placed it on the table between them. He deserves to know the truth. And I deserve my son. Brandon stared at the photo. He looked older than usual, like the weight of the past had finally settled on his shoulders. I won't fight you, he said. But Ivy, she might. Layla leaned back, feeling the storm brewing on the horizon. The door slammed so hard the glass rattled. You had no right, Ivy roared, storming into Brandon's office. No right to invite her here. No right to speak about Lucas behind my back. Brandon stayed calm. He's not just your son. He's hers. He always was. She's a lunatic. She abandoned him. You want to give up our child to a woman who... She didn't abandon him. Brandon snapped. He was taken from her.
Stolen.
You knew the adoption was suspicious, and you looked away. You lied to both of us. Ivy's face twisted. You'd ruin our lives for her?
No.
I'm doing this for Lucas. Layla stepped in. I don't want to take him away from everything he knows. I just want him to know who I am. Ivy stared at her. He'll never love you. Maybe not at first, Layla replied softly. But I will love him every second, and that's not something you can erase. They agreed to do it in a safe space, a therapist's office. Lucas sat between Brandon and Ivy, nervously swinging his legs. Layla sat across from them, trying not to cry. The therapist smiled gently. Lucas, your parents have something important to share with you. Brandon cleared his throat. Buddy, we've kept a secret from you. One we shouldn't have. But we're going to fix it now. Lucas looked up. Am I in trouble? No, sweetheart. Ivy said tightly. You're not. But we haven't been honest with you about where you came from. Lucas tilted his head. You're adopted, Brandon said gently. We didn't tell you earlier because we thought we were protecting you. But that wasn't right. Lucas blinked slowly. So, who's my real mom? Layla's breath caught in her throat. The therapist nodded at her. She leaned forward, hands shaking. Me, Layla said. I'm your mom, Lucas. His eyes widened. You're the lady from the park. And the art class. And the piano thing. She smiled through tears.
Yeah.
I've been watching over you. I didn't want to scare you. But why didn't you tell me? Her voice cracked. Because I didn't know you were alive. I was told you died as a baby. I only found out recently that you were adopted. That you were still here. Still safe. And still mine. Lucas was quiet. His eyes searched her face for a long time. You're my real mom? She nodded. Yes. Are you leaving again? No, she whispered. Not if you don't want me to. Lucas blinked once. Then again. Then he slid out of his chair and walked toward her. Slowly, hesitantly, he reached out and touched her hand. You smell like my dream. Layla laughed, a soft, broken sound. What dream? I had a dream a long time ago, he said. There was a lady with your face. She was singing. Layla pulled him into her arms, holding him like she never wanted to let go again. That wasn't a dream, she said. That was a memory. In the weeks that followed, arrangements were made. Layla moved into an apartment across town close enough to see Lucas regularly, but not so close as to uproot his entire world. Brandon, surprisingly, became her ally. He's happy when he sees you, he told her. And Ivy, she's coming around. Slowly. They decided on a shared guardianship for now. Lucas would live primarily with Brandon, but Layla would spend every weekend, every school event, every birthday with him. They were crafting something new, unusual, imperfect, but it was theirs. One evening, Lucas handed Layla a folded piece of paper. "What's this?" she asked. "It's our family," he said. She unfolded it. 3 stick figures. One tall man with a tie. One woman with curly hair. One little boy between them holding both their hands. He'd drawn a house, a heart, and a sun shining overhead. Layla swallowed the lump in her throat. "Is this you, me, and Brandon?" "Uh-huh." "And where's Ivy?" Lucas pointed to the heart floating in the sky. "She's in here. She'll always be in here. But I wanted this one to be about the people who made me feel safe again." Tears ran down her cheeks. "You make me feel safe too, sweetheart." "Mom." Layla turned to him, blinking. He'd never called her that with certainty before. "Yeah. Can I call you that from now on?" She couldn't speak. She just nodded, holding him tight. Lucas thrived. He spent weekdays in school, weekends in museums and parks with Layla, and holidays with all 3 guardians together, an unconventional family that somehow worked. Brandon and Layla never became romantic, but their bond grew into a deep, respectful friendship. Ivy eventually moved out of the city. She sent Lucas cards, video calls, and support from a distance. Layla never missed a moment again. It was Parents' Day at school. Each child was asked to stand up and share something about their family. When it was Lucas's turn, he walked up proudly and looked out at the small crowd. "I used to think I only had one mom and one dad," he began. "But then I found out my real mom was still out there. She never stopped looking for me." He turned to Layla. "Now I have 2 dads, kind of, and 2 moms. And one of them found me even when no one else could." The teacher smiled. "That's beautiful, Lucas." He smiled back. "I think it means love always finds a way, even if it gets lost for a while." Layla wiped her tears, surrounded by clapping parents. She had lost everything once, but somehow love had led her back.